Welcome to this safety awareness training, managing muddy conditions in early phase underground construction. Muddy work sites introduce unique hazards, unstable ground, hidden dangers, electrical risks, and reduced visibility. Our goal today is simple: to prepare you with knowledge, protocols, and a safety first mindset so that everyone goes home safe. Managing muddy conditions in early phase underground construction 1. Site preparation in muddy conditions. Managing the hazards created by muddy conditions requires careful planning and strong preparation. To keep sites safe and work moving forward, several measures must be in place. Start with drainage systems. Use ditches at least 3 to 5 feet wide, aligned with the slope of the land to carry water away from work zones. Following natural contours improves flow and lowers soil saturation. Place sump pumps in low spots that collect water. Choose pumps that handle at least 2,500 gallons per hour so standing water can be cleared quickly and operations continue safely. Install gravel trenches at 12 to 18 inches deep. Fill them with large, clean gravel to drain water faster, reduce puddles, and keep the soil firm and stable. For worker mobility, create temporary walkways. Use strong plywood at least 1.5 inches thick, durable mats, or rock bases to give crews solid footing. These prevent slips and provide safe, dry paths across the site. Finally, pay close attention to equipment staging. Heavy machinery should sit at least 15 feet from unstable edges or weak ground. Use mats or timber pads for added support. This keeps equipment stable and lowers the risk of sliding, tipping, or failure. With these steps, a muddy site can be controlled, hazards reduced, and workers protected. PPE and worker readiness in muddy conditions. 2. PPE and worker readiness. When it rains, safety risks multiply, and the importance of personal protective equipment cannot be overstated. In muddy conditions, the gear workers wear is the first line of defense against slips, falls, and exposure. Start with the most basic but most essential item: rain boots. Every worker must be supplied with high-quality waterproof boots designed for construction, not casual wear. These boots must have slip-resistant soles engineered to grip in mud, giving workers traction and reducing the chance of a dangerous fall. Next is high-visibility rain gear. Jackets and pants should be brightly colored, yellow or orange, and equipped with wide reflective stripes. Storms and low light reduce visibility across a busy site. High-vis gear ensures operators can spot workers quickly, even through rain and mist, preventing tragic runovers or struck-by incidents. Gloves are another overlooked but critical piece. In wet weather, workers must handle tools, rigging, and materials without losing grip. Waterproof gloves with textured palms improve control and prevent accidents caused by slipping hands. Good gloves mean the difference between steady work and losing hold of a tool that could injure someone. Finally, think about comfort and health. Crews working in the rain get cold quickly, especially when clothing is soaked through. Every site should provide access to spare dry clothing, thermal base layers, dry socks, and waterproof outerwear. This prevents hypothermia, keeps morale up, and ensures workers stay focused instead of shivering through a shift. Prepared workers are safer workers. Outfitting crews with the right PPE is not just a policy, it's a commitment to protecting lives in every storm and every muddy condition we face. Communication protocols in muddy conditions. 3. Communication protocols. When the weather turns bad and mud takes over a construction site, communication becomes more than a tool. It becomes a lifeline. Clear, reliable communication keeps equipment operators alert, spotters effective, and every worker informed about the hazards that change by the minute in wet, unstable conditions. One of the most important protocols is the use of designated spotters. These individuals must wear high visibility vests and maintain continuous, unbroken eye contact with operators. A spotter in reflective rain gear becomes the operator's eyes on the ground, signaling hazards, guiding equipment, and protecting nearby workers. Without them, the chance of struck by or caught between incidents rises dramatically. But what happens when heavy rain reduces visibility and hand signals become impossible to read? This is where two-way radios come into play. Radios should be waterproof, rugged, and reliable, equipped with headsets that feature noise-canceling capabilities. These allow commands and warnings to cut through the roar of engines, rainfall, and job site activity. Clear words spoken at the right time can prevent a serious accident. Communication must also begin before the shift starts. Pre-shift safety meetings tailored specifically for muddy and stormy conditions are vital. Foremen and safety professionals should review the forecast, identify high-risk areas, and remind crews about the unique dangers mud creates: sliding equipment, hidden trip hazards, and poor visibility. These conversations prepare workers mentally and physically for the day ahead. Beyond the technical systems, there is a deeper benefit. Effective communication builds confidence and collective security. When workers know that protocols are in place, that radios work, and that spotters are watching out for them, they can focus on their tasks instead of worrying about hidden dangers. This not only improves safety, but also fosters a stronger culture of trust and accountability across the entire site. In muddy conditions, silence is dangerous. Communication, verbal, visual, and pre-planned, is what ensures everyone goes home safe. Vehicle and equipment hazards in muddy conditions. 4. Vehicle and equipment hazards. On a construction site, vehicles and equipment already carry serious risks, but when mud is introduced, those risks multiply. Awareness and proactive action are the keys to keeping people safe. Take excavators, for example. Machines like the John Deere 490 weigh more than 11 tons. On dry ground, they are powerful but predictable. In mud, however, stability changes instantly. The tracks can drift, loads can swing off balance, and the entire machine can slide sideways without warning. Operators must slow down swing speeds and, when finished, always lower the bucket to the ground. A lowered bucket stabilizes the machine and prevents it from shifting when left parked on soft, unstable soil. Next, consider side-by-sides or UTVs. These vehicles are small, fast, and often used to move quickly around a job site. But in mud, speed becomes a liability. Side-by-sides are prone to hydroplaning, sliding in the opposite direction of where the driver intends to go. That makes them dangerous to both operators and pedestrians. The rule must be simple: slow speeds only and no passengers in unsafe conditions. Cranes add another layer of risk. Mud doesn't just affect the ground, it also impacts rigging. Slings, hooks, and lines coated in mud lose friction and strength. A single slick sling can reduce the grip needed to hold a load securely, increasing the chance of dangerous slips or drops. That's why operators and riggers must inspect rigging constantly in wet weather and adjust operations for added caution. Even trucks are not immune. Mud caked on tires drastically reduces braking efficiency. A loaded truck may not stop in time on a slick path. Operators must perform routine tire checks and clear off mud before hauling through busy areas. But safety does not rest only with operators. It requires a culture of awareness among the entire crew. Workers must keep a safe distance from moving equipment. Spotters must stay visible and vigilant, and supervisors must reinforce safe operating limits during wet weather toolbox talks. When every individual commits to staying alert, informed, and proactive, the site as a whole becomes safer, even in hazardous, muddy conditions. The bottom line is clear: heavy machines and slick ground are a dangerous combination. But with discipline, preparation, and communication, those dangers can be managed and lives can be protected. Electrical extension cords and tools in muddy conditions. 5. Electrical extension cords and tools. Electricity is one of the most valuable resources on a construction site, but in muddy conditions, it also becomes one of the most dangerous. Every worker must understand that extension cords and electrical tools are not minor details. They are lifelines. Choosing the wrong cord or ignoring inspection can mean the difference between a productive shift and a life-threatening accident. Only top-grade, extra-hard service cords should ever be used on a muddy construction site. Look for cords clearly marked S, ST, SO, or STO. These designations prove the cord is designed for harsh environments. They resist cold, heat, moisture, and abrasion, conditions that standard residential cords can never withstand. But the cord itself is only part of the solution. Placement matters. Cords must never be left lying directly in mud or water. Instead, elevate them using hangers, heavy-duty reels, or sturdy platforms designed to keep connections dry. This simple habit reduces wear, prevents shorts, and dramatically lowers the risk of shocks or fires. A cord buried in mud is not only a tripping hazard, it's an electrical hazard waiting to happen. Maintenance is equally important. Every cord and every tool must be inspected before use. Look for cuts, frays, flattened sections, or exposed wires. Even small damage can lead to arcing or failure when the cord is wet. Workers sometimes believe duct tape can fix a damaged cord, but in reality, it only hides the danger. On a construction site, duct tape is not a repair, it's a hazard. Damaged cords must be removed from service immediately and replaced with safe, compliant equipment. Tools themselves should also be checked carefully. Mud and water increase wear on casings, switches, and plugs. GFCI protection is mandatory on every circuit in wet conditions, and operators must test outlets and breakers regularly to ensure they trip when they should. The truth is simple. A cord is not just a cord. It's a safety device that protects both the worker holding the tool and the entire crew working nearby. By using the correct grade, elevating cords out of the mud, and refusing to compromise with temporary fixes, crews protect themselves, protect the site, and keep the work moving forward safely. Excavation and trenching hazards in muddy conditions. 6. Excavation and trenching hazards. When mud enters the picture, trenches and excavations transform from controlled work areas into potential death traps. Even small amounts of water can turn once stable soil into a collapsing wall of danger. That's why in muddy conditions, trench safety demands more vigilance, more discipline, and absolute adherence to standards. First, understand this. Water equals instability. The moment water begins to pool inside a trench, work must stop immediately. No exceptions. Crews cannot continue until the water is pumped out and a thorough inspection of the trench walls and surrounding soil has been completed. It only takes seconds for wet soil to cave in, and once a collapse starts, there is no time to react. Protective measures are not optional. They are the law. OSHA standards under 1926.651 and 1926.652 clearly require protective systems for trenching. That means using sloping, shoring, or trench boxes every single time workers enter an excavation deeper than 5 feet. In muddy conditions, even shallow trenches can become unstable, so extra caution must be taken. Sloping reduces collapse risk by cutting back the trench walls at safe angles. Shoring provides structural support to prevent soil from giving way, and trench boxes create a physical shield around workers, giving them a safe space inside unstable ground. But equipment alone cannot guarantee safety. Workers themselves must be trained to recognize warning signs, cracks in the soil, bulging trench walls, or water seeping through the sides. Every employee has the responsibility to speak up if they see danger. Supervisors must listen and act immediately. Trenching in the rain or in heavy mud requires more than just compliance. It requires respect for the ground itself. Mud hides weaknesses, and overconfidence kills. By pausing when water appears, by enforcing the use of protective systems, and by empowering workers to recognize hazards, we save lives. A trench collapse is one of the fastest and deadliest accidents in construction. But with discipline and preparation, it is also one of the most preventable. Worker behavior and culture in muddy conditions. 7. Worker behavior and culture. On every construction site, safety is not just about equipment, rules, or checklists. It's about the culture we create and the behaviors we choose to uphold, especially when conditions are muddy, wet, and difficult. A strong safety culture is built when every worker, every foreman, and every supervisor understands that protecting lives is more important than meeting deadlines. When the rain starts falling and mud slows down production, the pressure often builds to move faster, to take shortcuts, to just get it done. But shortcuts in safety rarely save time. Instead, they open the door to accidents, injuries, and tragedies that stop work altogether. The rule must always be clear. Safety comes before speed. A job done safely is a job done right. Behavior on site matters. Distractions like gossip, horseplay, or side conversations may seem harmless, but in reality, They pull attention away from hazards. A worker focused on chatter is not focused on the loader swinging overhead or the slick mud beneath their boots. Every worker must take personal responsibility for staying alert, focused, and disciplined because lives depend on it. Leadership plays an equally important role. Supervisors and safety personnel must lead by example. That means wearing full PPE at all times: rain gear, boots, gloves, helmets, and refusing to cut corners even when no one is watching. Workers pay more attention to what leaders do than what leaders say. When supervisors model commitment, crews are more likely to follow. Regular safety meetings and tailgate talks reinforce this culture. These meetings are not just reminders, they are opportunities to raise concerns, share observations, and problem solve together. Talking openly about the challenges of muddy conditions, slippery ladders, unstable trenches, hidden electrical hazards empowers the team to adapt safely. Building a safety culture is about trust, accountability, and respect. When workers know their supervisors value their lives over the schedule, morale rises, confidence grows, and hazards are addressed before they cause harm. The truth is simple: safety culture is not optional. It is the foundation of survival in hazardous environments. In muddy conditions, it is the glue that holds the team together, ensuring that everyone stays alert, works carefully, and goes home safe. Emergency response in muddy conditions 8. Emergency response in mud. When a construction site is muddy and unstable, emergencies become even more dangerous, and response times can mean the difference between life and death. That's why a well-structured emergency response plan must specifically account for the unique challenges mud creates. The first step is ensuring that evacuation routes are clear, marked, and usable, even in wet weather. A path that is safe on dry ground can become slippery, flooded, or blocked when it rains. Supervisors must check routes daily, verifying that stretchers, rescue sleds, or all-terrain vehicles can reach workers quickly. If rescuers can't get through, the plan fails. We must also recognize that traditional emergency medical services may not always be able to access muddy sites. Ambulances cannot always cross rutted paths or waterlogged ground. This reality means construction crews need backup strategies. That includes training designated team members in first aid and CPR so life-saving care can begin immediately before professional help arrives. To strengthen this preparation, every worker should know their role in an emergency. Who calls 911, who directs responders to the site, who carries equipment, and who provides first aid must be clearly defined. Clarity reduces panic and ensures an organized, coordinated response. Another critical component is practice. Emergency drills must be carried out regularly, not just on paper. Crews should rehearse stretcher carries across mud, ATV rescues in rutted ground, and communication handoffs under noisy, stormy conditions. Drills build muscle memory, and muscle memory saves lives when adrenaline and fear take over. Finally, communication during emergencies must be reliable. Radios should be waterproof and tested, backup batteries should be available, and emergency signals such as whistles, flags, or lights should be standardized so all workers understand them. Preparedness in muddy conditions is not about assuming the worst, it's about being ready when the worst happens. By maintaining accessible evacuation routes, equipping teams with rescue tools, training workers in first aid, and conducting regular drills, construction sites ensure that when emergencies strike, crews are not caught off guard. In the mud, seconds matter. Preparation turns chaos into order, fear into confidence, and potential tragedy into survival. Toolbox reminders in muddy conditions. 9. Toolbox reminders. As we bring this muddy conditions training to a close, let's focus on the vital reminders that every worker must carry with them every single day. These are not just rules on paper. They are actions that keep us alive, protect our co-workers, and safeguard the future of every family waiting at home. First, remember your spotter. If your designated spotter goes out of sight, you stop immediately. No exceptions. Operators must never assume where people are. The rule is simple. If you can't see your spotter, you don't move. This one habit alone can prevent tragic accidents and save lives. Second, use only commercial rated extension cords. Residential cords, the ones we use at home, are not designed for this environment. Mud, water, and high amperage tools destroy them quickly and turn them into electrical hazards. Always choose cords rated S, ST, SO, or STO, and always protect them with GFCI. Cutting corners here puts every person on the site at risk. Third, move with purpose. Walk slowly, scan your surroundings, and always maintain a safe distance from equipment and hazards. In muddy conditions, a single misstep can turn into a serious injury. Being mindful and deliberate in every movement reduces risk and reinforces discipline across the crew. Fourth, stay alert to what mud can hide. Beneath the surface, there may be soft spots, utility lines, or buried equipment. Hazards shift daily, sometimes hourly, when the weather changes. Always reassess your work area, adjust your plan, and share concerns openly with your team. Safety is strongest when everyone watches out for each other. Finally, never forget the ultimate goal. Everyone goes home safe at the end of the day. Regulations exist to set a baseline, but our motivation must go beyond compliance. Safety is not only a legal requirement, it is a moral responsibility. Protecting one another is how we build trust, how we build teams, and how we ensure that families are not left broken by preventable accidents. Carry these toolbox reminders with pride and conviction. They are the foundation of safety, and when followed consistently, they guarantee that muddy conditions remain a challenge, not a catastrophe. Muddy conditions will always challenge us. But with preparation, discipline, and a commitment to safety, those challenges can be managed. By applying these 9 principles, we protect our crews, preserve our projects, and honor the promise that every worker has a right to return home safe. Elevate safety, escape failure. Together, we build not just projects, but a culture of safety that lasts.